You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone around the planet. Welcome to Outside the Box here on criticalmassradio.co.uk. Yours truly, Kate of Gaia, at the helm. Where do we want to go today? Well, we've been peeling a lot of layers off. Let's see, what's our list include this week? Solved the Coptic key, the lost consonants. Yeah, and you thought Atlantis and Lemuria were just about islands. What else? Oh, yeah, the riddle of Sphinx. The revealing of the energetic Egyptian sex rituals and how demons are created between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Well, of course, it's the other heaven, Uranus. Now, these are not coincidences, and you will find all of the keys and all of the clues. The Coptic key is in the sound, and that's what's being revealed. Basically minute by minute now, and so many people are catching on to the real Hollywood silver screen and seeing their own magic because it's being reflected back. And I got to tell you, it's wonderful to watch that. It's like watching children being born. It's freaking awesome. So that being said, the master hex is the letter G. You'll see it also in the treble clef, cursing all the music. Have a look at a treble clef. And you'll see the G, the inward egocentric spiral. And these shapes, you see, when you start looking at things from the eyes of a child, you don't see definitions, you don't see words, you don't see anything but shape. And that shape is created through sound. So it's speaking the language of light is what I'm talking about, which was for a very long time for me a bit of a mysterious thing. What is the language of light? And then it dawned on me, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're learning to hear with our eyes and see with our ears. See, if you are only seeing with your eyes that are facing forward, you are a predator. This is natural law. Any animal that has the eyes facing forward are typically predators. And any animal with its eyes on the side of its head, like a horse, is an herbivore, a peaceful, right? Not to say that they will not defend, but here's the thing about your eyes on the side of your head. You have 360-degree vision then, don't you? Or you can have your own ability to be preyed upon by only using your eyes to see with instead of hear with them. Now, while that might sound a little bit complicated, it's not. And the more people spend time just playing with words, where are my notes? I want to. Here's the Coptic key. Let me see, where did I put it? Yeah, this is quite fascinating because you can start seeing with your ears, and you listen better with your eyes. I'm just looking. Yeah, when you start flipping out the G with the K, and the P with the R, and the D with the T, watch the difference you'll see, and it actually proves the words and the meanings and the mirror opposite. So for me, it was just one more layer of exposing the magic spell that's on us, and that's what it is. We are spellbound and under Phoenician law, where, well, I don't shun the phoenix anymore. So it's the phoenix I am, right? I'm trying to find this Coptic key. It's really neat. Well, I tell you what, here, I always recommend that people bring their crayons and sketch pads to the table so they can play show and tell with me. Now, take the letter K, write it with the upright bar of K on its back, so it looks like a V on a horizon. I might as well just do it again. I'm looking for it. Can't seem to find it. That's okay. It'll show up now because I said I can't. Right? Can't is a spell, right? So there's a lot of coincidences here that aren't coincidences. I've got one essay I will read when I read last night. Oh, Ninja's on the board. Hey, Ninja. While I got you, I might as well have you jump in here.
Yeah. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Have we got a lag?
I don't hear one.
Okay, brilliant. Hello, everyone. I've got my
Hello.
pen and a great big fat notepad, and I've already started writing. So, yeah, definitely the way to go these days.
Yeah, and the Coptic key, once you draw it out, it's an 8-pointed star, is a two-dimensional overview or underview, depending on how you're looking at it, of the DNA spiral going up. It's quite magical. This is how you add rungs to your Jacob's ladder. Okay, so you have the K sitting on it, lying on its back. Then do the mirror of it underneath, right? So you got the V going up, do the V going down. Now you have a straight line with an X through it. Then you do a vertical line through that. So the letters you have in there are the K, and it actually is in all 4 quadrants. You'll notice that. You've got the X, which covers all 4 quadrants. Then you have the V as above, so below. And you have the Y as above, so below. And I think that was... Well, you've got the I right in the middle of all that, the single upright. So there you go. Coptic key is all about the sigils and the sounds contained within the sigils. It's like, where was it? K, for example. You have, that's for me the Greek word ka, K. Well, K-A-Y is, I always thought that was kind of interesting that you could actually spell out a letter, so it didn't make sense to use the letters to spell out a letter. Sort of, it's like trying to use a word that you're trying to define in the definition. It's like this: define the word mean, using the word mean in the definition. Mean means what you mean. That's nonsensical. So I decided to play around with this a little bit. So if a K can be spelled out as it sounds, K-A-Y, well, I can silence the Y and I have ka. Every vowel is interchangeable with every vowel because it works in every sound, in every language, every word, somewhere. You just got to find where it was, right? So now we have the K, that's Egyptian for spirit, ka. Then we have X, which is a Roman numeral 10, which is I and O. They look pretty much the same to me. Oh, you put a little tick on it, whatever. And you can change the intention from a 1 to an I. But the O and the 0 pretty much stays the same. You might see on your keyboard where the number 0 is more like oval versus the O on the keyboard for the letter. Okay, so you got Roman numeral 10. It's also the Greek symbol for chi, C-H-E, which is chi, go figure, it's life. X is also the lowercase t in Phoenician, which is the crucifixion. The uppercase T, the upper kase, the higher realm, has got a circle around that same X. And there's your quad that I've talked about, and it showed up again. It shows up everywhere. These are just clues. Are you paying attention to the clues? And that's really all I'm trying to get across to people. So we have the X now. What else we got in there? Well, we got the Y, which if you look at Zeus's lightning bolt, it's actually 2 opposing Ys with their stems attached at the bottom. It's not a jagged Z type thing. It's a Y. Think of well, you can do this on your computer. Hit the less than or the greater than sign, dash 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 dash, less than sign. That's the comma and the period keys for those that don't know that in math. Greater than, less than. Okay, so those are the 2 opposing Ys. What was the other one? V. Well, there's your open to all creation, like vagina, right? You've got that center point at the bottom, and the arms, legs, whatever, spread wide, going into all creation. So that is why we deal with the Vesica Pisces, and that's a duality. And that's exactly what the Pisceans want to keep going. And it's over anyway, so have at her. Game's done. Have a look at creation like this. Draw a jellyfish, which is just like an upside down U or a frown, whatever you want to say. And just do that like you're doing a happy face with a frown without the eyes. At each side of that, go towards the center, make another jellyfish from each point. So one pointing left, one pointing right. And you're going to notice something very, very quickly. You've got a beautiful curved triangle. It was just a coincidence that I drove a rotary RX-7 for many years, which that is exactly what the rotor looks like. And there's two of those in a rotary engine, the 12A or 13B. Yeah, just a coincidence. Those are the model numbers of the engines. And all of this, the rotary also works with a quad. It's got 4 spark plugs, one leading and one trailing, to complete the full combustion. I can show the whole universe in a rotary engine because it's the same story everywhere. And once you start to see the commonalities of 2 or 3 of these different stories, then you start to see the commonalities and the common thread running through all of creation. And then that's when you really start to connect with consciousness as far as being part of the one, instead of separate from it. The ego wants to be separate from it. If you look at the ego as the lie and the spirit as the truth, there's your oil and water. So on that note, I think I'll pop into an essay, and it's available on creativegaia.wordpress.com. Thank you, Ninja, for putting that up yesterday, in plenty of time for last night's show. And it's titled Oil and Water. You might wonder why there's an O instead of a W in front of it, but go ahead, say it. O water, O water. Or you can say odor if you're in spellbinding program. And that's exactly what the spellbinding does, is it puts you in a fixed state of looking at things. You got the blinders on. The blinders are your ears covered. If you can envision yourself as the true horse of Babylon, all you got to do is take the blinders off. All right? Blinders, take the D. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a little mini epiphany, so I'm giving it out to you now before it disappears.
Please do.
Earwax. Sealing wax.
Yeah, wakey.
Signets. It's like if your ears are not working, they're sealed.
Exactly.
It's the wax that's making you deaf. And the monarchs and the sovereigns always used sealing wax to imprint their seal on their documents. They didn't sign shit. We know not to sign shit now. There you go, another little flip around.
Yeah, and excuse me, using phonics, WA can be pronounced as way with a hard A, and you have X, which is a Greek letter key. So let's spell that out. Way key. Not Waco. You might remember that, and that was playing out the same. Yeah, wakey. So that's your it's wax, earwax. And what do you have with ear? E-A, which is yin-yang, spirit breath. So earwax is the consciousness in the physical, spirit breath, wakey, wax. When you do this, I'll ask Ninja, when you do this enough times, you really start to see the magic unfold.
Oh, you only need to do it once to see that, but the rest of it is just pure entertainment. For yourself, that you're not hurting yourself by entertaining. You see, we understand that entertainment as served to us by the establishment is harmful. When we entertain ourselves by breaking that down, we're not hurting ourselves, we're freeing ourselves. And I wanted, jeez, it's gone. I just had something and it's gone because we were just on it. And, way, name.
Yep.
So again. The key, the way key.
Isn't it fun?
So many ways this thing flips around itself, and you just, wow. Yeah.
And it all connects back to its source. It proves the word, the sound.
Ears to hear. Yeah.
Eyes to hear and ears
eyes
to see.
Eyes to hear, ears to see, exactly. Again, everything look at it in the equal and opposite. Look at it in the mirror. Literally, if you need to, get your makeup mirror, girls, and play with the mirror and the paper and the pen and just do it.
Yeah, you'll save yourself a whole lot.
You've got nothing else better to do, have you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, you'll save yourself a whole lot of trouble in terms of trying to solve your ego, because ego loves to doubt. Ego loves to have conflict. And when you start seeing the magic, that whole program starts getting overridden. So there is really no effort required in taking care of any, victim mentalities or anger or fear or any of this stuff. When you start seeing the magic, then you start knowing the magic. And again, let's take the G out of magic. And interesting, who was it? Just one sec. I have to go back and check this. It's a beautiful comment. Where are we? Oops, wrong one. From Joy. Of course it had to come from Joy, right? It was talking about the word right. R-I, typical English spelling. It's R-I-T-E in the U.S. They got it right. And they took the hex out of it. R-I-G-H-T. So there's a 5-letter word with the inverted spirit, the I with the dot above it. Put the exclamation mark in there, and that'll tell you why the Rosicrucians copyrighted that. They wanted to copyright that. And it's a sigil. And inside all of these sigils, when you write something down, you have created a void at the same time as not creating a void. And contained within the black ink, or whatever color, doesn't matter, it's all sound to me, is a creation zone. All things fractal. Doesn't matter how big an area is to create in. Remember, universe is created inside a little dot, and inside that it's another little dot, and bigger and smaller infinitely, right? So Horton hears a who. I hear the who's in all things. So the word right. Let's take the hex out of it, and we'll put the spirit back in. And there you have Richt. So let's sound the word out as it's spelled now, instead of, well, I'll read them both, with the hex in it and with the spirit in it. You have the spirit breath of the inverted self, the meat stick, hexed in the trinity of the crucifixion. That sounds joyful. But the same sound, because I can make the K silent, as in no, so I do. I can choose to sound a consonant or not. Same with a vowel. So now we have right with the K in there, silent. So the silent spirit that creates. So let's try this one out. The spirit breath with the exclamation. The spirit breath from the true self in spirit of the divine trinity in love. Capital L-T. Love is the law of truth. La ve. Ve from verily. I've covered this many times. So love is the law of truth. And if you're not willing to stand in the law of truth, then you are stuck in the ego physical meat stick. Add effect to it because someone else owns your cause. And when you start playing this game, you start getting your cause back. That's the whole coincidence of the crone, the C-R-O-W-N, the crow that's mine. If you're serving another crow, well, then they have all the cause. C-A-U-S-E. Or it can be C-A-W-S. So people have been blinded by the spells and have stopped seeing the sounds. So I just chose to see the sounds and become blind to the spells, where they don't have a sigil effect. You neutralize the word, you neutralize the spell. And it's like if I had a sentence that seemed very innocuous, yet contained within those words was a very destructive original intent hidden because the words weren't neutralized. Every time I would say that seemingly innocuous sentence, I'd be creating someone else's evil intent. So that's why you have to be careful what you wish for. Right? I am pure evil in the mirror. Live. Li-ve, the calm of truth versus the lie-ve, the lie of truth. So the word live has an equal and opposite in it. Every word does. It has a positive and a negative. That's what creation is. It's all about the balance of these two energies. And if you're polarized, you're either looking at one word as being negative and another one as being positive. And look at the energies contained within the sound. I don't have to write it out for you. I can say a word, and you will see within yourself the amount of charge that has been imprinted on you based on your spellbinding. That's the ego. That's not you. And the more it affects people are to the emotions contained within the charges of the word, and all the assumptions and presumptions of ego idiocy that go along with it, then you start to see a chaotic little place. It's getting a whole lot better as to why it got chaotic. It's the energies are swirling out of control. I just chose to take the control back in those energies. That's all. So I'm just going to open the mic up here before I read this essay. We've got area code 704. Welcome. 704?
Hey, Kate. How are you? It's Fabian.
Hey, how are you?
I'm just getting my education.
I love it.
If you don't mind, I'd like to stay on mute. It's not like I don't want to interact, but I get...
Oh, that's fine. I can be...
listening.
Okay. No, I just wanted to say hi because you're on the board. No problem. But you're getting your edu, or the ETU, Ma Kate Ion, your Spirit of Love Ion. Isn't that cool?
Yep.
It's just
I knew what I was saying before I said it. You taught me.
Yeah, see, here's a question for you then. You feel the difference in the energies when you're actually saying a word now?
I come from a school of where words are intoned, but they never taught us this. So now that I'm able to use what you're teaching and from my school that I come from,
that makes you a powerful wizard.
Absolutely.
Nothing like connecting those dots. Lucky you to have that. Excellent. The point of me as
exactly. Point of me or point of view. There's some angel. I really believe that there are people out there that really look out for the betterment of other people. Because I would never have found out about you, but I don't want to say how I found out about you, but it was done through a very interesting kind of, let's see how he'll respond to this one. Let's see how. So whoever did that for me, I don't know where you are in the world. I'd just like to say thank you very much because my life has been totally enriched. I mean, I sound like one of those people that go to church. I
get it. Don't worry about it. This is a neutral table, and we've talked about this whole pedestal thing and all the rest of it. None of us deal with that stuff. It's like, get rid of it. We're just kind of hanging out because I know I'm you and I know you're me, and it's all good. This is getting these collective thoughts together instead of being a mass hive mind of destruction ego. But here, I'm going to ask you, how did you get to this table?
Oddly enough, through YouTube.
You to be, huh?
I guess. Wow,
to
I didn't even think of it that way either. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way because somehow somebody adjusts my playlist all the time. They're always changing based upon what I listen to and what I like. And for some reason, a few months ago, your videos started popping up. I was like, "Who's this chick?" So then when I started clicking on the videos, I was like, "Oh shit! Now this is up my alley." Because I have a lot of transgendered friends. I participate in the LGBT community, but I'm also into the spiritual communities. You're just like a perfect mix of everything, and it's for me who has not. I did not grow up with people like you. I grew up and I still unfortunately live in the deep south. I grew up amongst a lot of adversaries, and I've always been fighting, trying to let people see the world the way I kind of see it. And now that you're explaining it, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to help people see what I've been seeing all along.
'Tis my intent, and that's it. We gather the tools collectively as one, bring them to the table, sort through the shit to find the gems, and then we take those gems, put them in our bag, because you can never give them away. They're yours forever. You can never lose truth. So, always interested in how people get to the table. And again, I as a point of view, me, I'm just a conduit at this point of the table where there are so many that come here. because we are one, and it's that realization that we are, that everyone comes here. Like I said, I'm just a mouthpiece on the air, just a nagging thought in the back of your mind saying, wake up, William, wake up. And that's it. That's my role to play, and I'm quite happy playing it. It gets a little tedious some days. It gets very, very heavy, a lot of transmuting of energy, but again, I get the beautiful contrast, and as a result, I get to download lots of miraculous stuff, and it really is. When it's coming to me, I'm like, whoa, this is cool, and it's like, aha, constantly. And all you got to do is play.
Kate, I'd be lying if I didn't say that a lot of the, I've been involved with a lot of spiritual groups, especially in New York. I'm not naming any names, but whenever they spoke in their teachings of drugs and marijuana as being, and a lot of them do have this teaching where they don't believe that drugs and marijuana and things like that elevate consciousness. That's where I have the falling out, because I don't believe that. I believe that if a person smokes marijuana, there's some sort of heart energy connected to it, and it helps expand. I think the problem that they're afraid of is that it opens the pineal gland too fast or the third eye too fast. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, again, for me, it's no one can make a mistake in their experience. We just have an unawareness of what game we're playing until we become more aware of it. Pot, for me, is a download quiet time where it actually calms and allows, what it does is it allows me to technically sleep and be awake at the same time. With or without, it doesn't really matter to me. Whatever is in my path to use, I'll use as I feel I need to use it, not as I think, because think will always destroy you, right? That's the whole idea of lose the thought of the left mind so that the right mind can plant the roses.
Thank you very much for doing for us. I really appreciate it. And I want you to get back, even though I already heard this, I want to hear it again. So I'm going to mute myself in the car. So.
Okay, no problem. I'll leave your mic open here then. You can jump in whenever you feel the urge.
Thanks, Kate. You rock. Appreciate it.
You rock, mirror, mirror. Okay, let me see. Oh, Paul, I'll explain that to you later. It was, you see, every time, this is the joy of criticalmassradio.co.uk, as I see it as this beautiful creation field that Paul put in place, right? And every time I go on the air, that's Paul's creation giving birth, so I get to be that child. So every time, I can only imagine what it feels like to have a station, and then you're waiting for your host to come on, and they come on, and it's like, oh, there they are, and it's all beautiful and relief and wonderful, and that's all. That's so. Thanks, Dad. It's beautiful. So anyway, oil and water dressing. Now, this is on cateofgaia.wordpress.com. I hope I said that. I always highly, it's actually mandatory. It really is. If I'm going to read something, you need to be showing and telling with me. As I read and you see the words, that's what breaks the spells. It really does. And my intent with every essay, S, divine feminine, say, himself, herself, itself, creation, with every essay I write, R-I-T-E, is with the intent to give that aha moment wings so that others can see it and go aha as well, and go, wow, that's cool. Yeah, isn't it? That's all. That's all it is. So oil and water dressing. This one is about more about tackling ego and how to get deep, get dark within self. When you can look in the mirror and say, I am the worst piece of scum on the planet, and work up from there. That's what I did. Worked, got rid of it, and now it's a tool that I can use instead of being used by the tool. Physical, again, is the water, and the spirit is the oil. This is what it means allegorically to raise your oil. You got to get your oil out of the murky waters that have been shaken up because of emotions, right? Emotions are water. There will be wars and rumors of wars. Such is the chant of the ego mind. The ego lives only in the physical, where the Lord, its God, is a jealous God. Its Lord is the one of polarized judgment and constant conflict. It, the reptilian mind ego, seeks solace in imprinting others of its kind and sucks greedily at the teats hanging from the imprints of others of its kind. It is the chattering Babylonian that seeks to express its conflict from within into the material world it creates in its own image, having at its center the hex of G between consciousness E, which is 9 in the mirror, and creation O. It is the mind that claims, I'm not jealous, I'm not materialistic, and utterances of the like, all the while blaming others and justifying its position constantly. You cannot talk to one trapped in this circuit of circuits because they simply short out and explode even further. It is the screaming child in the toy store, yet equal responsibility is shared with the parent for even bringing them to the store in the first place. They promise to be good children over and over again, but you see the trend where the child is best left to have some quiet time to think about it. They are the ones that live in the physical waters of emotions, storming seas, destroying their ships, while they are caught up in the rigging of the game. Intertwining with the oils of spirit and intent, all of the chaos, creating murky waters, until these raging emotional monsters are tamed and destroyed. The tricky bit, and the one that is the hardest, is knowing this and then standing in the face of others who do not, while they whip you with their own cat o' nine tails, the very one they need to turn on themselves. It's as simple as never needing to say sorry, and every time you do, that's the beast's fault, not the spirit. Shake up water in a dark oil long enough and it becomes opaque, impossible to see through, and this is the majority of mankind. The more one wants materialistically to induce a false joy, the more one needs to say, I'm sorry. I just learned to listen to myself long enough to hear these echoes of self, to remove the G, water, in ego, and replace it with K, the spirit oil, becoming that echo. We are all well conditioned from birth to silence that echo, into the polarized ego, where conditions replace unconditionality. Don't try telling an ego about that either unless your intent is to stir up the murky waters, to be imprinted with the same virus in them that loves to infect others of its misery loves company kind, or to expose this program for them without you yourself being imprinted. That is the nature of a catalyst, in that it creates the reaction while remaining fully unchanged and neutral in the process. Spiritual awakening clues are laid out so clearly in the physical realms, though most miss them because they are in the literal physical interpretations of them. This is a game of energies interacting, creating physical things, where most see that only in a mirror of illusion and distraction. This ego thing is so easy to spot, where all one has to do is realize when they are reacting, playing out the same role, to anything, be it through words, situations, or circumstances from emotions. If you get that last sentence, you're well on your way. Just notice some of the reactions you may have hearing or reading this, and there are your mirrors and clues, clays, your nails or your keys, to open your doors or nail you back to the same cross I'm trying to pull you down from. It's funny how the Roman Catholic Church spends so much time and effort placing the crucified idol up on a pedestal. So is it any wonder why the world is the mess it is? Again, do not get polarized on this either by ranting about the church, the government, etc., because they are all our creations equally, set in place to play this game. Been there, done that. Insanity. Once you see them for the mirrors they are, then you'll be able to balance it. So much of the mystery and blindness gets removed once you start truly seeing what is contained in the spellings and words. Take, for example, lancing a boil, and make a few alterations by flipping out the hex G with the spirit Ka, K, and using sound as your guide, no spell binding. Lancing becomes lance ink. Now, letter by letter and sound by sound, expand it. LA makes a law sound as well as la and others. N is a conjunctive possessive, which means anything it is connected to says mine. C is a note of love, 528 hertz, and is the open O, or unconditional, allowing all things in and out equally. The I is the upside down spirit of exclamation, which you may know as an exclamation mark, horse from Welsh, sounded as whores as well. The last letter being spirit allows me to read a sentence, many, out of what that word but is now what my intention says in that sound versus another's imprinted definition. Literally, lance means to stab something, or a spear a knight, nicked, might carry, if one is spellbound fully. Yeah, what do you do with a lance if it's a spear? Yeah, you nick the boil. Isn't it funny how it's the same sound proven backwards? Here's the hidden meaning I use for the same sound. The law that is mine in unconditional love in consciousness as below so above in my spirit, or law that is mine of the spirit mine in spirit. I always thought it odd as a child that the letters could be used to spell the letters out, and I saw that as the same as using a word you were defining in its definition of itself. A little insane, if you ask me, so I learned to look a little deeper. The best part about this phonics revolution is that the ego loves to play its little intellectual games, so they're peas in a pod. Only when one removes emotion from all equations will one truly see this, and then begin to see the connectedness of all things. The ego is constantly asking questions outside of itself due to its fear of being found and made responsible for its actions. It will use any and all justifiers to achieve this aim and continue on its circular merry-go-round. Simply put, the ego is hell, and you, the real you, are heaven. The ego is the demon, the of me that needs to be exercised, not exercised. But many have quite the inner jungle gym, my G, hex of intent, L of spirit, new in the mirror. Literally. For me, this game is about returning the power of intentions to myself and others. And the only way I've found to do this is by literally reversing the negative intentions in all words and all languages as a result of the symbiotic nature of sounds being attached to letters. The mother of creation is silent magnetic. Her creation is sound that forms all things, including light. Just a higher frequency is all. These truths are so utterly blatant once you begin to see the magic of this connectedness in sound by decoding the spellings where coincidence ceases to exist. Coincidence has 3 words that come to mind immediately, but then I spend the time to slow down during show and tell, patiently waiting for the other children to share their glee without being impatient about trying to show off my toy is better. Coin, side, dents. Coin, side, ents are the immediate toys to play with. So let's play and see what we can build with these let-go blocks, shall we? Coin, something you can use to barter with, has 3 sides with a ro'im, rim, a heed, a head, and a tail of the dragon. Please note, I use all sound rules as they appear in all variations of all letters and all languages, and using these rules, I break all rules accordingly. Do not be sonically fooled by my spellings. Mine are deliberate, of liberate, in order to set you free of this spellbinding we're all in. Side, simply a choice as to a position of positive, negative, or neutral in the same way as a coin has 3 of them. So do you. Side as a suffix sounds identical, yet means to kill, as in genocide, etc. Though when these sounds are uttered without knowing this, what are you really creating in the every sound wish granted in the formerly silent magnetic field? Sound creates all of our reality, where the intentions hidden by another have us creating their realities in our ignorance of this truth. Which side are you on? Dense, very compacted, heavy, no room to vibrate, no space to create. Ents is a suffix for mind or spirit. It can be a prefix too, by the way, where emotions create density and destiny, and is the creation field of your intent. Unfortunately, your intent has been owned by another, and emotions are the tools used to make people tools of their creations. Co is a prefix meaning duality or together, and creates a paired, as in a knife, intent when attacked to another word. Remember, I use all available sounds contained in the letters, where CH can also make a ka sound, but you have to slow down your monkey mind chatter, which is all ego, trying to figure stuff out analytically. It is the most powerful tool in the physical once you can contain the emotional reactions versus emotional choices. In can be defined as part of, and the exclamation mark mind, the spirit mind. You should try flipping your keyboard upside down to see what you can see. Quite fascinating. In a literal sentence or two, coincidence takes on many intent ions in ioshans, intentions, where one is torn in duality on the head or the tail of their own drag on, where their spirit breath rho of the I am, rim, is still spinning in the constant ego coin tosses. I'm hoping by now you're beginning to see the magic of this and how we are all spellbound due to emotions, emotions, or consciousness mote, ions. I have covered these things in countless shows and writings, so if your intention is to be spiritually free, you will take the time to read and listen. I am long wearied by the emotional types that feel the need to insist that I am lying to them, where perhaps they need to also put everything on the line to stand in truth. An ego will never accept an answer as true because it has already formulated its own excuses and justifiers, where it simply cannot hear truth, since all they've been used to all their lives are lies from a broken mirror of this material world. So you see, it's all your fault and not your fault at the same time. As a personal example to illustrate this point, I was asked the other day from someone in a pure emotional ego program if I missed my kids or not. Well, one, that is simply a retarded question, given that it was for my children and loved ones closest to me that I set out on this path that encompassed all humanity. Contained within the question itself is an assumption created that somehow I did not, but then that is simply judgment from a polarized dragon. Regardless of how I will answer any questions, Q stuns or K stuns, K, French, yeah, QUE, an assumption or presumption that is and was already there. So I'll say that just in a literal sense so you get the concept. Regardless of how I will answer any questions, an assumption or presumption that is and was already there. The master asks questions from within and makes statements without, where the slave asks questions outside for another master's statement taken within. Again, sheer insanity. If one is in a state of knowing, where is the need to ask anyone else questions other than to see where they are on this scale of master to slave and slave to master? You might want to question why within as to why the Rosicrucians, Red Cross, Emotional Cross, Maltese Cross, etc., copyrighted the question mark symbol. Nice hook of the dot once you flip it over. I put my infinity on the line as far as standing in truth, so I'll give anyone and everyone the make I straight, magi straight answer. As I said earlier, take the G hex out of words and put your spirit back in to see the magic for yourselves. The make I see, it's in the sounds. You know what I mean when I say make I see, right? For someone to ask a question of the nature regarding those I love shows the mirror of what the one asking the question is separate from love. I and only I know my intentions, where others can only accept, assume, or presume, where most are making an as-you-me or an as-is intention of magnetic electric that I simply call an ego imprint, infecting them as imprinted by another of its program ilk. The measure of your difficulty accepting this is just a measure of your own ego imprints going schizoid, multiple personality insanity. By now, you may have an idea as to how nearly impossible it is to break through this monster within, but I assure you I will do anything in any way I can to expose it for you at infinite personal cost. This is the allegory of the crucifixion. When one reaches any level of Christ consciousness, one is willing to be crucified by the very mobs they love unconditionally, where the emotional ego can always justify spiritual murder. Cain murdered Abel, remember? Maybe it's time for many to remove the spin cycle from their laundry and simply soak in the waters of truth in the dark chamber tub within, removing external blamings of others, assuming that everyone is somehow a liar first and telling the truth second. If you can see your hand the same way as starlings flying in a murmuring unity, Then and only then will you begin to see this reality as pure anu-archi, or the heart light key, versus energy, and ear hex, inner hex. Finally, and get some of your create ion powers back. Mother Nature knows when her children are ready, and those still fighting, still jealous, still angry, etc., are creationally muted, being the mutants that they are, and will suffer the continual mirrors of their own mindless creations of the same anger, jealousy, fear, fist fights, and so on. And you wonder why you have conflicts in your lives. Are you willing to open yourself up enough to be attacked by those you love? To do whatever it takes to shock their raws into view? Can you handle the rumors and rumor mongerers created from cross-pollinations of other egos going circular in a literal world that only see and live in the physical? There is nothing so painful as that, but the reward is a mirrored bliss if but one shall awaken to this singularity where the truth does set you free. I get to spend inordinate amounts of time transmuting this energy as it appears as hate, blame, and all manner of filthy emotionals, but I know that I can handle it and be grateful, knowing the pure creational power it grants as a result. The imprintings of doubts are abating in rapid fashion as a result of this as well. The creation of the Pisces duality of I believe or I don't believe is visible. It would be a good idea to review my essay on Phoenician Starter Kit at cateofgaia.wordpress.com. And I'd hazard to say to read all of it if you have any intention of waking up. Mother Nature is not happy with most of her children due to their warring ways, and her patience, is worn out and coming to fruition at the same time. The clock is run out, and the tick-tock of Babylonians is crucifying her standing in truth kids. Perhaps those that miss the abundance I brought and bring them due to their greed and ego that still tries to equate things like money to spirit might miss it when it is no longer there. Then again, perhaps not, and then will create all manner of nonsense, degrading, berating, and ultimately stab me in the spiritual back, as they always do. No worries, because I will continue until that if but one shall awaken finally awakens to end this nightmare. As an example of ego versus spirit, the majority will see that as an arrogant statement of holier than thou, where the spirit sees unconditional love of thou art holy, but not quite seeing it yet. To put into words the countless crucifixions I have endured and continue to observe is as simple as the statement, fist fight, hold the light, or carry out the dead, or the allegory of the Christ mind between the double crosses of the ego thieves on either side. If you want to hold the light, you're going to be crucified, only that your intention decides your fate. Fa-T 9, consciousness, or the heart root note Fa in the law of truth and consciousness. Fate has a different meaning now, doesn't it? Here's how I redefine it. The heart root note in the law of truth and consciousness. That is your fate. It's all of our fates. No, have at her, kids, and grab your nail guns, because every nail you put in each other is a nail you crucify yourself with. Every nail you try and put in me passes through me on its return trip to you. I'm a catalyst after all. Got some noise. A Kate all eyes T, right? But then it's all about how you pre-now and say it, pronounce it, and what intentions are in the sound as spelled due to your spellbinding. Once you neutralize the energy in a word, you'll be creating a whole new world instead of the same old hole in you world, creating your external master's planet. Me, I got in the stillness to allow the oil of spirit to rise and sit above the waters of emotional ego, resting atop and never touching each other while the masses keep it swirling around them, creating murky cesspools of their reality. So please keep missing the forest for the trees, the true cross, and see only the negatives as your ego allows. See the broken axe, but not the firewood chopped by another to heat you. See only the greed of look what I did for you, while missing the infinite blessings bestowed on you, where my mere presence raised the temperature in your house, and where I was only occupying a space you couldn't use while you were occupying another space anyway. If one can see abundance instead of ego greed, gimme servitude of material possessions, be it organic or inorganic, you'll begin to finally see the light of you instead of the emotional mirror reflection of ego, in the same way the moon, emotions, reflects the sun's, spirit's, light. Then you can pierce the veil to cross the veil. The enemy your ego tries to make of me is the mirror of self one needs to see. The spirit of ultimate beauty within you will never fully hear this until the demonic possession of your ego program is silenced once and for all. You will no longer be afraid to come to me first, where the normal program of misery loves company, backstabbing, and rumor-mongering imprinting other egos while they imprint yours. You're only creating storms in your oil and water, where your anger is your Ankh aura and will keep your true ship, mind, from ever setting sail or ever leaving the peer pressure of port, Cain Mine left field. I am the spiritual whore of Babylon, BB law mine, BB being 1313, there's your Christ consciousness upon itself, where humanity as a whole are the blinded physical whores, serving only the physical masters, where all their golden mean spirit of creation is culled and harvested. So don't hesitate to defend yours, elf, because it is telling you exactly what you need. Hell, I gave you the fishing rod, where you were used to getting fish, and you love to hate me for it. Go ahead, because your shit flies through me like my camel slides through the needle, where yours is too packed to fight. Fit. There, see, fight, fit. Love this. The whole phi sound rocks. P-H-I, right? Phi. 21st letter of the Greek alphabet means God, basically, spirit. Phi. 777, right? 23 being the psi, the spirit. It's really cool.
Now, Kate, I want to say something. You just
Sure.
said 777, right?
Yeah.
What? You know, I like to look for the memes and things, and I know you do too, as well as movies and things like that. If you break down the Malaysia, does that break down because it's Ma? I've been thinking about this for the past 3 days. The whole Malaysia flight, isn't it a 777 plane? I mean, I don't know.
Again, you see, it depends on where you like to play, right? I have my play fields, playing grounds that I like to play in. Now, you can say Malaysia or Male-Asia, right? So that changes the intent again into something else. It's like, this is why any mail that is sent is already deemed contract, because male is the intent. That's the masculine intent. Every thought you have is masculine, and it's already delivered the instant you think of it.
Okay.
Makes it dangerous when you don't know what you're saying, huh? Why do you think I'm working?
Exactly. That's why the more I go back and listen to the past shows, the more I realize this is like the new Rosetta Stone, isn't it, in many ways?
Yeah, that's what this is. It's the decoder of all languages. Right? In the same way that the Rosetta Stone opened up hieroglyphs is the same way that sound is opening up all languages. So, neat little key once people can get their hands on it. I think anyway, so just saying.
It's valuable information. Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'll just finish off the essay, then we'll get cracking on having some fun with it, shall we? Almost done. So, carrying on here. Finish the last sentence. Go ahead, because your shit flies through me like my camel slides through the needle, where yours is too packed to fit. No, I have nothing to talk about anymore with anyone stuck in this circular trap so clearly exposed, because their egos own them, and they are consumed by their own darkness, folding in on itself in an infinite downward spiral, deafened, defend, until they are finally deaf-end by the lights of truth. I see the end creations of my intent first, and walk accordingly where everything I do has a reason for positive outcome, and only those that are polarized see the negative based on vile programs running. Maybe the better question to ask is, do you miss my children? Where I will always answer you yes. I do, because I know they are me, and I'm only walking this road to bring all children home. Unfortunately and fortunately, not all will make it on this round, but then that's natural order, where only the fittest phi test passed will serve. I have, I truth, I have. Fools to the left of me, jokers to the right. Or you can actually say clones there too. CLOWNS can be pronounced clones, can it not? Yeah, I thought so too. So, fools to the left of me, jokers to the right, stuck in the mid-L with you, with intent. Exactly where I choose to be. My intent is pure evil in the mirror. Live. Every cut of 1,000 cuts is received in gratitude and unconditional love, and the blunter your blade, the better. Because the true sword pulled from the stone cuts to shreds every time you try. Let me make a suggestion. That rock of Peter you're walking around with that has the sword of King Arthur in it, put the rock down and see if you have the strength to pull it out. This sword I carry now is weightless. Just like the heart that wields it. Paper, rock, psi soars. This sword defeats them all and leaves them without a Piscean leg to stand on or a pot to piss in. Now, be a good little ego and run away, like in the Holy Grail scene. This is one Kasael, castle, key, row, keep, castle, keep. Your ego can't scale because you're still wearing the scales of the reptilian brain war mind instead of the scales of just ises. It's just a coincidence that the letters E and A are in the 1 and 5 spot in our alphabet, right? A and E are yin and yang in the mirror, long ago shown as such. Punch 1515 or 5151 into your calculators and then turn it upside down and backwards. Now you see the world as I do, and your ego program will fight you every step of the way. A world full of pots calling pans black asses. Enjoy your mere ego, ro und. That's spirit breath of God, ro und. It only costs you immortality. Was and love. So there you go. It's always, what are you willing to give up to get your infinite immortality back? Well, you better be ready to give up the physical meat stick concepts to make the energy that you are a walking, talking, murmuring of starlings. Moving together, that's how I see the energies of people. You're working in unison. You don't have to think about every molecule in your hand. You just make the choice, and all of your birds fly in the same direction. That's the EB, the consciousness, Christ consciousness within you. The Uru, well, it's a bit more a reptilian side, right? The more physical. That's the EB Uru, mine, or you might say it, Nibiru, Nibi-Uru. The allegory of Nibiru coming here is simply about cleansing the heart. And Nibiru is coming straight from my heart. That's earth. The ear of God. Hear, T. Hear the law of truth. Love. Hear love. Yeah, bring it on. Bring it here. I'm in. Hear, hear. Indeed. And all of these clues, you can start connecting every story. I don't care what drama is being played out in the physical, be it, UFOs, reptilians, Nibiru, false flags, all of this stuff, they're all telling the same story. But everyone gets caught up in their polarized choosing of one side or the other instead of walking down the middle and seeing what it really is. And the ego will always want to talk about one thing or another and be intellectually dazzling and absolutely spiritually retarded at the same time. The more intellectual somebody is and wishes to stay in that circular ego, the less spiritual they are. But I'll tell you, the gift of the more intellectuals, as soon as I get this, it's a walk in the park. It's an absolute walk in the park. Because now they have a very powerful left brain tool to use instead of it using them all the time. It's just time to sharpen your sword of truth up. It's as simple as this. Anyone that would even consider asking me, it's kind of a joke actually if they ever did, about legal stuff. It gets to a point when you, I don't know about you, but if you knew that if you were helping someone do that and it was actually harming all of humanity, would you continue to do it? I just said, no, that's not something I would do. And that's all that happens, and this is the problem with standing in truth and the joy of it. Because as soon as you realize something and you stand in it, oh, goody, another crucifixion from all those that I love. Thank you. And it's just been a constant game of crucifying. But that is the whole game of coming back to the Christ consciousness, right? Christ didn't, in the allegory, didn't rise until he was crucified. That's the allegory. And what the allegory of Judas and Christ is all about, Judas hung himself because of the 30 pieces of silver. Now, people take that literally, but I just see that as Judas was the only one that Christ could trust enough to betray him. It was the only one. The perfect mirror. The betrayer was the only one that Christ could trust enough to betray him. And the whole idea of Judas hanging himself was in that process, his physical demons were destroyed, where he became the risen as well. The betrayed and the betrayer, the positive and the negative, the oil and the water, at that point become one. They become clear oil on the top and murky, dark water below. It's like if you take dark oil and water, and shake it up, that's your emotions. Try to look through it and see what you see. You'll notice that it's not quite as clear as you had hoped. And that's exactly what the ego does. The ego is the murky water swirling with the spirit, drawing the spirit energy into it. And again, they never touch. Oil and water always has an energy film between them that they will never physically touch. That's a fact. It's a scientific fact. There's an energy between them, the strong and the weak force. And that's where I walk down that road, where I can be the equal and opposite at all times. There's no judgment in that. It's pretty cool. I see things from the perspective of, I know what the ego is, and this is the whole thing about what Christ said on the cross, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And that's to the ego. It's not about the spirit. The spirit is perfect. The ego is the chaos program running. And that's the game. That's the nature of the game, to have a game of God playing not God on our way back up. And every aha moment that you get is going to add another rung onto your Jacob's ladder, your DNA. That's what Jacob's ladder is. It's all energetic. For the ego's intellect that wants to prove this, well, it's been proven many times in science. Sound creates. Right? You can alter your DNA. Yeah, you can. It's only energy. And people get stuck in the physical notion that it's a physical thing, that somehow a table is real. Well, in the creation of our world around us, in the game grid, of course it appears real. It's how we play here, and that's the illusion of things being real, so that we can play the not God game and have a bit of fun doing it. Just too many people got caught up. Too many points of our consciousness got caught up in the illusion of this being real. And at the same time, that is the nature of the game, to have a game. So it's again, it's a snake eating its own tail and a snake spiraling at the same time. It's pretty cool. Lightens the load a little bit for people. So anyway, that's just a few of my thoughts. Okay. Fabian, you want to jump back in here? I've got area code 239. I don't know if you want to jump in or not.
Okay.
There you go. Let's hear you.
Okay, man. Look, I want to say something in a loving way to everybody. I mean, I've only been listening to you for a month. But in the short month that I've listened to you, it's, I'm also kind of like a musician underground, and I believe that you can transmit emotions and feelings and teachings through your music. Well, I listen to a lot of your music, Kate, and for people who don't know, Kate has a
SoundCloud.
Thank you. SoundCloud.com, and just search for Kate Gaia. You can download all of her great tunes, but
we're on YouTube.
I've got to ask you this question. Is that on YouTube? I've got to check that out. I want to know, did you know when you were singing songs did you know all about the phonics back then, or is it as you were learning to create music is how you came to find out? Because when we sing, it can alter the universe.
It does. And you just gave a perfect example of what I'm trying to show people, how the magic works. No, the truth is, when I wrote all of these songs, I did know all. I just wasn't aware of what I am aware of now. That's the only difference. This is a game of awareness, not knowing. You know all. How much do you want to be aware of? I just chose to be more aware of it.
So there are people
all my
that
songs,
probably in the background that watch you, or people who are your fans and people who are your friends and people who admire you. There's got to be people out there that know this, that knew this before we knew it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Again, this is bringing together all the points of consciousness that were separated, and why every piece of the puzzle at this table is critical, because for me, they're all other points of you and other points of magnetic electric me. I see the connectedness of all of it, and we're playing the awareness game. What are you wearing or not wearing? Wear. To wear in French, wear. Or not wear, a as a prefix means not. That's why every word you utter has an equal and opposite intention. Whether you think it's positive or negative, it doesn't matter. It carries both energies. And if your intention is of the spellbound by definition of another, then you're carrying their intention, not yours. You think you're saying your intention, but you're not. You're creating another's that is hidden within that. So for me, it was about digging into the sound contained within the spell, not the spell contained within the sound, because I know there's a spell there. Pretty obvious.
Yeah. Kate, I want to ask you from a musician standpoint, are there notes that are not even listed? I mean, we know about the solfeggio frequencies, but are there other notes that maybe we are not aware of yet?
Oh, by all means. I mean, it's like infrared. The human eye can't see infrared or gamma or ultraviolet, but that's based on the sonic blindness, right? Because there's sounds as well. This is when you start to come up in your own balancing, your own frequency. And I hate using these terms because the new cagers use them all the time with great misinterpretation, as far as I can tell. It keeps things literal and circular, and it's like doing rituals and yeah, I get it. It's all fun and games and whatever. But these are all pointless things to me if you are just uttering nonsense, gibberish, Babylonian, that is controlled by another intent contained within the spell of the word you're using. Every word is a sound. That's what creates. It's the intention within. Once you get an understanding of something, I'll give you an example. Like you want to manifest and play a little bit. Try this out. Write it forwards and read it backwards, and the heart's intent creates. Because as soon as you start reading it backwards, by the way, in the same way I do, not in you can do it in a literal sense. I just choose to do it in a pure God voice. It's like the word create backwards is consciousness in the law of truth of the as below, so above, yin-yang consciousness through spirit breath of unconditional love. That's what create means to me, reading it backwards. Now, when I was saying what I was saying, did the word create leave your mind? Yes, it did. That's the silent intent returned. Because now you're not thinking of the word create. You're actually silencing that spell, the word spell, and it's going straight into the magnetic. Neutral. Pretty cool, huh?
It's amazing. Not only is it amazing, it is changing the vibration of the universe and of the Earth. Because doesn't the Earth resonate at like a natural frequency? Well, with all these new frequencies coming on top of the Earth, doesn't that make an imprint on the Earth? And maybe isn't that why they say, well, we should be careful with our intent because it does affect the whole, like the 100th monkey syndrome.
Oh yeah.
I think it's all like that.
Well, again, it's the one mon key, which is the one my key. You're all 100 monkeys. This is the joke. You're talking about the Schumann resonance. And the Schumann resonance, that is the physical effect of our spiritual cause, is, see, I look at the sunspots. That's not the sun creating to the earth, that is what the Spirit is creating to the sun. As the sun is the effect, not the cause. In the beginning, God created light. So if light is created, it is not the source. It is the effect. It is a prodigal son from magnetic mother. Now look at Mother Earth, ME, magnetic electric. Now I'm going to show you how mother and father are the same words. You've got, let me just spell it out for you. Write it out, guys, mother and father. It's really simple. So what is mother? Well, to me, mother is this. It's the modus operandi of the law of truth in the bridge duality of consciousness through spirit breath. And father is the heart note of the law of truth in the bridged duality in consciousness spirit breath. They're both the same thing. One is the source, which is the fa, and of course, as everything here is backwards, so the father is actually the heart source creator, and no one gets to the father, the heart source, but through magnetic electric mother. So it's one and the same. There is no polarity on this. This is the intertwining of the duality as a oneness, the oil and water that merge but never get into each other. Hancock, the movie Hancock, is a beautiful allegory for that. Because it shows you that the closer the two immortals came together, the more mortal they became. And as soon as they started separating at the end of the movie, and you saw all the storms and chaos when the two of them were together at the end of the movie, and that's exactly what we're in right now, to the point where we're now getting to that immortal part where we're separating from the physical, yet being able to play in the physical.
Okay, is there anybody that you can reference to that thought along your lines maybe 100 to 200 years ago?
I'm sure there were many. Well, I can think of people like Shakespeare and Francis Bacon, James Joyce, Tolkien, Frank L. Baum. All of these stories, what's his name? Robert Louis Stevenson, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Who wrote Alice in Wonderland?
God, I have that in my iPad. I don't know. You did mention Edgar Rice Burroughs. I just wanted to run this by you. You mentioned this a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, but you said something about Edgar Rice Burroughs. It's weird. I've been caught up with his Princess of Mars and all that. What do you think he was going with?
Well, he was talking about Jesus Christ, John Carter. Okay, he was not aware of. Yeah, he was not aware of this. I'll tell you, he wasn't thinking of Jesus Christ when he made the character John Carter.
Wow.
He knew,
okay, I see where you're saying that.
Yeah, he knew what we all know all things, but he just wasn't aware of it. So let's take John and make the J a Y, right? Because Johann, all right? So now we have the yaw. Now in an aircraft, is three-dimensional versus a car. I fly planes. Yaw is the forward and backward motion of the wingtips. So if your yaw isn't correct, you can get into a spin rather quickly. So what we're doing here is we've got our pitch, and that's pitch to throw out our roel, which is a spirit breath of intent, in the yaw that is mine. You cannot make this up. Everything proves everything I'm saying. It's magic, pure magic. So now we have Yah-N, which is Yah. That's the Yahweh, right? And that's why you yawn, right? It's a releasing of that sigh, that balanced spirit. And you have Carter, so there's your JC, Jiminy Cricket, Jesus Christ, Julius Caesar. They're all the same story, all the same being, same energy intent. And you have Carter, which is Ka, spirit, Ro, spirit breath, in the law of truth, love, T, kappa, ta, LT, and into consciousness, E, which is 9, and also E reversed is the Trinity, which is delta, which is consciousness. Isn't that funny? And, of course, spirit breath. So now we have the spirit personified of spirit breath in the law of truth into consciousness through spirit breath. So that's exactly what the Christ consciousness is all about for me. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just nonstop. It's freaking awesome.
Well, it's amazing, and I'm very thankful that there's somebody out there that is the embodiment of the hair. No, I wanted to say this to you. I can't believe I got to say this in front of all these people, but can you remind me of the divine Hierophant?
The divine what?
Hierophant?
Oh, the Hierophant. Yeah, that's Taliesin, which is also Merlin. Yeah, it's funny. I drew the mirrors of those yesterday, where the universe was the one card and the magician was the outcome, and then the draw I did yesterday was the Hierophant as the start card, which is of course Merlin, same character, just told in a different way, and the universe was the outcome. So it was a perfect mirror day from one day to the next. So you see, I watch the magic of this reality where people are stuck in the illusions and the distractions, fighting day after day in their beautiful love their jobs, slugging it out to pay for their car loans to get them to their job, which is insane personally, but that's just me. I did it. That's why I know it's insane. I look back at things that I have experienced and been through and actually had the ability to say, that was pretty stupid, and moved on. How many times are you going to leave your hand in the door jamb with someone slamming the door on it? Well, most people keep their hand there because they're not even aware they have a hand. I'm just making people aware that, yeah, you have a hand in the door jamb. It's getting slammed on. So yeah, the Hierophant resonates with me. Taliesin, the musician, the bard. Yeah, absolutely. So, do you normally just pick out cards, or how does that work with you? Well, everything. I know that everything is perfect. I do know that. I just accept that. I do know all things for a reason. I do know that I cannot make a mistake, perceived or otherwise, from whoever other's position. What I do choose is the now experience and accept that experience. So when I do a card spread, it is absolute for me, because it's coming from a state of all-knowing. What do I need to become aware of in that all-knowing? That's all. But here's a question I've been dying to ask, and this is probably going to be the last one because I've got to get out of the car here. What about runes? I mean, isn't that an alphabet in its own regard? Why do you guys ever pull runes out? Never heard of that. Again, runes will be the same thing as tarot, as any sort of divination tool. The whole idea behind a divination tool is where one learns to trust the universe, the all-knowing. That's what divination is. Now, Ru-N-E-S. So you've got the Ru, which is street, the path in French. You also can interchange every vowel anyway, but here you have the spirit breath of intent that is mine into consciousness of the divine feminine. Runes, R-U-N-E-S. R, Ro, that's spirit breath. U, that's the international symbol for electricity. Remember? All rules, no rules. Yeah. Right? And you have N, which is a conjunctive possessive, which means anything it's attached to makes it yours. And of course, N is the infinite, Z on its side, if you will. Zeus, yeah. E, there's your 9, your yin-yang. Lowercase e is a 9 when you flip it in the mirror. And of course, it's also the 3, which is the Trinity, the delta, and that's the mind, delta waves. That's why rivers empty into bodies of water through deltas. You have the as above Nile delta, the as below Mississippi delta in its mirror. And of course, you have S, which is divine feminine. There's your one half of the DNA spiral, but it's all complete at the same time. So the spirit breath of intent that is mine into consciousness of the divine feminine, ruins. Now you can also pronounce it ruins, which is not such a positive thing, right? So now that word has been neutralized. So you see its positive of its most beautiful intent of creation, and then its absolute mirror of left the city in ruins, right? So that word is neutralized. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I guess that's amazing. That's amazing. And guess what? Guess what? Every word that every point of consciousness does this to, does it for all. This is why I'm telling people, get busy and start doing these, because I'm working as fast as I can to neutralize as many words as I can, and stay on the air, and or do the writing, and do this. So, grab your crayons and pick any word. And there's enough information on my website. All you have to do, seriously, all you got to do is read the writings on it, spend a day or so. And then
I've made pages and pages of notes. As a matter of fact, I don't want to go through all of them now, but the most interesting thing that stuck out with you, is the word poetry, which means potency, spirit, seed of all creation, or something like that.
Well, Po is a spirit seed, but we're going to change that to Rho because we'll take the P hex out of it. That's the mirror of the Greek letter Rho.
Okay, so change that to Rho, right? R-O.
Right. And so now we have, I just like going with poet. We can go with a poet tree. There's your tree of knowledge, tree of life. So Rho into consciousness. This is your row, the boys and girls. So you have the spirit breath into creation of consciousness in the law of truth. That's a poet. Poet tree, well, there's your tree of life, your tree of knowledge. Same tree. Those are your interweaving caduceus DNA. Tree of life, tree of knowledge.
There's a scene in the movie called Orlando. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I'm sure you have because you were very, into these cool things. It stars the amazing actress, I forget her name. But there's a scene where she's dressed up. She's going through a transformation. She's going from male to female, and she's sitting in this 17th century scene, and they're all having this witty conversation about poets and poetry. Do you know what movie I'm talking about? Orlando.
I don't, but I'm going to go looking for it because it sounds like and that's the overall allegory. What we're doing now is returning to the divine magnetic creation. The prodigal son is coming home.
Tilda Swinton stars as this androgynous. He starts out as king, one of the kings of England, and then he lives for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's a story of a progression of a man who starts out as a man, and then he ends up throughout hundreds and hundreds of years becoming a divine woman, a divine feminine. But there's a scene in the beginning. I want you to see this because it reminds me of you so much, of these men who think they're such smart men because they have poetic words. And then she just nails them with her lines. And I'm not going to say what those lines are. I want you to see it. But you remind me of a person coming against all these oppositions and hexes and just slaying them with your truth. I love it.
Yeah, and I got to share this as well. And this is what makes egos go schizoid, especially males. Because the true energy contained within all of us is the feminine source. Okay. Now, this game of separation for me is very simple. All female walking bodies are walking with a masculine energy that is being balanced and neutralized, and you have males walking around with the feminine heart core. I'm just a clue to this, that are acting out in over-exuberant creation, which is what creation is. Feminine creation is chaos, and that is being shown out in things like wars and control and all of these things. So what you've said about this movie so far is the transformation of that masculine controlling intent returning home, the prodigal son returning home back to the divine source. And when people see this, not from a sex viewpoint, but rather from an in-ear key, anarchy, the heart spark, that is the key. When you see it from the energy perspective only, it all makes sense. You lose all of the hang-ups of what male and female illusion in the physical is, where we truly are androgynous. And that's us, right? Take the hex out of androgynous, and it'll make a whole lot more sense. This is why G, P, and D are the ones that I switch out for K, R, and T. And isn't it funny that that's my initials, Catherine Renee Thompson? You see,
it always comes back to that. It's amazing.
It always comes back. Now look at Underworld, where Kate, the spirit of love, beckons all.
Yes, Kate Beckinsale, beckons all. Holy shit.
Beacons all. It's all in the sound. These are the clues that I'm getting people to look at. and they go, "Oh my God," and you get goosebumps when you see it because it's really cool.
I just want to say, before I hang up, Kate, thank you for bringing the magic back into my life and then back into everybody's life who's not able to say it. But I've learned so much from you in this very short period of time, and I plan on continuing to listen and learn, because I'll tell you what, just with what I've learned from you in the past few weeks, I've changed my life very dramatically, very quickly.
Well, you know, all I ever say to that is I've had some beautiful points of view out there that I've been able to cherry pick and just put the things together. See, that's my role in the consciousness, to put things. I'm the son and the daughter. I shine the light on the dots. That's what I do. I connect all these beautiful points of consciousness, like the Bill Donahues, the Santa Bonaccis, and Sivan Bomers, etc. Right? I connect these dots. I mean, give you an example, because all of the individuals I cherry pick from are very, I won't say they're specialized, but they've got a particular area of spiritual expertise. Like with Bill Donahue, it's Bible decoding allegory, and it was through Bill that I really started to see the allegories. Santo Bonacci, through Santo, I got to see the connection of the allegories in the zodiac, and of course Santo and I were working along the same law lines as well, right? The ley lines, law lines. Yeah, that's what I thought too. And then you have Tobias Lars, very spiritual, energetic, and he brought that to the table. Robert Presti and Robert Otte and Matt Presti, they brought the Russellian teachings where it was he was seeing it as an electric universe, where I was saying no, electricity is the result of spinning magnets. It's the effect.
Right.
So I put all of that, and because of their work on blood, I was able to show the plasma, spirit, and the water, physical in the blood of the Kundalini concept, or caduceus, contained within the blood. Why urine therapy was, I connected all that to the Egyptians, connected all of it to the Babylonians, and it all connects. It's one thread. Who's the math whiz guy? Love his stuff.
That video you always talk about, I know what you're talking about, the video, but I forget his name, Math Genius or whatever, but...
Yeah, well, you have another one, Dave Lapointe, who took this beautiful story that I'm talking about and showed it in the physical. And isn't it funny that you have two opposing U's with the center in the middle? And have a look at some of the Sanskrit, and that's the as above, so below. And this was all being played out through the domes of the churches and the Congress buildings and all of these cathedral type things, right? I'm trying to who else? Sivan Bomer. For me, Sivan is on this page, like we're walking lockstep in this energy game, because he sees the magic, and he has such a beautiful way of explaining it, and I just take my own version of that same allegory, and I just paint pictures. For me, I have to paint pictures as a songwriter does. That's what I am. I'm a songwriter. So I paint these pictures that way. So I can take a concept and put it into something else. Like to make the spirit and the physical analogy, I use the oil and water. And the emotions, when you shake it up, what have you got? Murky water. So this is where... And again, there's the raising of the oil allegory in the Kundalini, from the base of the spine up to the pineal, and that's the raising of the oil out of the murky waters. And when you start removing these emotional imprints, ego imprints that everyone has, I mean, you started life with them. You know, you were born in either the illusion of male or female body. You were born white, black, brown, red, yellow, doesn't matter. You were born with Muslim, Jew, Christian, whatever. It doesn't matter. These were all program imprints that when you showed up with your game piece were already in place, and you were going to be imprinted with those to see if you could finally pull them all away to find yourself again. That's
seems like a divine plan. That's a divine plan, huh, Kate?
I just follow it. That's all I do. That's the plan it. I'm in the plan B, baby. The plan of Christ consciousness.
That's right. The plan B. Kate, thank you for everything you're doing for all of us, and I'll let you go, okay?
Okay, well, thank you, my friend. It's awesome to talk to you, and tag me anytime. You know, hey, you know where to find me. I make myself really hard to find, don't I?
Yeah, we're all hard to find. I have your personal phone number in my iPhone, so it's not like one of these days you and I, we're going to have a very interesting conversation, and I want you to go over my IMDb page and look at all the movies and TV shows I've been in, and we're going to talk about privately what you think those allegories might mean.
That works. Skype works better for me just because my phone has limited minutes on it on the plan that I'm on. So, if you can get me on Skype, katie.renee.thompson, just tag me, and, anytime. And I tell that to everybody. It's I don't know about you, but I got to say, from my very selfish perspective, I wish that there were people out there that I could just call and there's no ego involved, right? When I tell people they can call me, they're always surprised when I answer the phone or Skype, and I said, well, I said you could. Why are you surprised?
The phone works both ways, hon. The phone works both ways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You're a
absolutely.
God. You just pick up the phone.
Yeah, that's it. That's and that is about connecting with. See, the whole illusion. This is where pedestals come in. The minute that anyone would put anyone on a pedestal means they're on one themselves, thinking that someone needs to be on one. That's why we level this at this table. This is the emerald table of thought, right? This is where we level it all, because I know you are me. We are all one. I am this version of the experience of all of you as you are the experience of all of me. That's why, copyrights, that's for the dead. Okay?
And Kate, I wanted to say something real quick. There are other people who call into your show that I have learned so much from. I totally dig Mike. He's the coolest guy on earth. I totally like the guy from England. I don't know his name.
Mark?
I love Santos Bonacci. Yeah, Mark. I love Santos Bonacci. I've always thought he was the coolest thing on earth. And, of course, Ninja, she's cool. And then there was this one lady, I've been going back to your past shows. Sounds like she's from the Midwest, an older American woman. I don't know who she is. I haven't heard her on your show in a long time. I wish she'd call back again.
The one that came to mind that I felt there was Colleen. She's down in California.
Yeah.
Very calm, gentle.
Colleen, yes.
Yep.
Yes. I'd like to hear her again. I mean, all of the regulars are the best.
Aren't they great? I mean, and I love when everybody calls in. This is the whole idea. I had a great chat last night with so many people, and this is where everyone gets to, experience themselves, probably for many, for the first time in their existences, and who knows how long they've been running the merry-go-round, dropping meat stick after meat stick to figure it out. You want the keys, they're on my website. As far as I'm concerned, I found the yellow brick road. I found Interstate 90. I jumped off 60 into 90, so it's all good. Consciousness.
Okay, have a good day, all right?
You too. Much love. And we've only got about 10 minutes. Got about 10 minutes left here, and so I just want to do a shout out for criticalmassradio.co.uk. Please feel free to flow energy, spiritual energy, Ka, Se, Ha, which is the spirit of the divine feminine in the Trinity. Cash, C-A-C-H-E, where you store stuff. Ka, key, the spirit key. Yeah, and I proved that the bonds were created on the spiritual to rule the divine feminine, register. So we take the G out, rekis. Yeah, or re-key the divine feminine, stir. That's what the word register has been reversed into now. So watch for lots of fun. But for those that want to and can help, please get to criticalmassradio.co.uk. Every little bit helps. There's lots of options, and everything there is free. There is no obligation. Okay, that's the point of the truth. It's not for sale. It's not a charge on it. If you like what happens at the table, then keep help us all keep the table afloat. I do. I'm a monthly subscriber. Yeah. The one who's living at the beckon of the universe. Go figure. But anyway, you can go £1, £2, or £3 a month on a subscription, or you can donate whenever or whatever. And the most important thing is get your heart intent in making this table just grow. Because the rest of it's just going to show up anyway. That's how the universe works. That's my intention, and that's where I am. So there you go. Now, I've only got a few minutes left, so I don't want to get into anything too heavy at this point. But just spend a bit of time with yourself. This is the most important thing. One of the things that people have the hardest time with is just shutting up. constantly asking questions outside of themselves when those are the questions that need to be asked within. And you're not going to do that walking around trying to have conversations. You have a conversation with God. Sit down with you. Dare to have a look in your own mirror to clean it off. Throw those demons into that mirror, like in Constantine, and throw it out the window and smash it. Because once you find that demon, it's done. That the demon is the of me. Religion likes to put little horns and tails and pitchforks and all manner of scary visuals attached to it. But the only demon is the of me, the ego, the no-go. So turn it into an echo. Remember, history never repeats, but it does rhyme. And poet, the creator is a poet. That's what you are. You're all poets. So start acting that way. You are God. All the great teachers told the same story. Told you that God is light. Now, the false God is light. That's the creation. The real creation is the Phoenician law of truth, which is the circle with the X in it. And that's exactly what you get when you reverse the G over top. Reverse the hex, place it over top of it. There you have theta, the Greek letter. Take the D, put it in the mirror, and you have a circle with a line through it vertically. Now put the horizontal line through a circle with the vertical line through a circle over top of all of creation, the O in the middle, and you have your sniper rifle, the quad. And it all comes down to that. And of course, 4 is 13, Christ consciousness. Right? 1 plus 3 is 4. So there are no rules while you use all the rules. There's only one. Law of truth. Stand in the truth. And everything that you're not standing in the truth in, that's the ego lie that holds you. That is all things involved in the system, where the intent is still kept in that system. There's a separation you can move away from in that, and you'll only find it once, and only once you eliminate the emotionals, the ego, the program that loves to imprint on you. Ninja!
Hey, Kate, I made it back for a few minutes before we go off. Just say great
there
show.
You go.
Very, very nice callers as well. And we're planning to try to do a collection of your reading out your writings. Little clips, little mini clips. So we're going to trawl. We're going to either trawl back through the shows and try to find them, or if we can make time with you to record MP3s and then put them on. So if anybody wants to tag me on Facebook or on Skype and let me know which shows they have memory of you reading these things out on, might save us a bit of time, team effort and all that.
Oh, actually, just if you go to Lightworkers Media on YouTube.
Oh, we'll have that, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, people can help me out with that and send me a list of the ones where Kate's reading things, and then we can go through them.
Well, he typically puts... Hey, Mark,
Hiya.
he puts the essay titles on the YouTubes, typically, is what
brilliant.
I've...
All right, then. Okay,
so you know.
Ninja?
Mark?
Yeah.
Hi, Kate.
Yeah?
Just a quick thing you just reminded me of. Sometimes when Kate is breaking down the words, is there somebody in the room, in the Skype rooms, who can type as fast as Kate speaks?
Noted. That's why I
Do you want
write
us to listen? Do you want us to listen or type? Shut up.
Yeah.
Do it yourself later, you lazy git. Now, come on.
You know what, Mark? You're so right. That's a perfect catch-22. So here's what it is. In my slowing down, I've speeded up the sound so that I need to slow down to show it in the light, right? So it's beautiful. Double cross. I love it.
That's what the archives are for. Come on.
Well, if something goes one way and then returns, that's a double cross, isn't it?
Mm.
That is the I, the center of the Coptic key. That's the all-creating I. So get stuck in the middle. Clones to the left of me, hokers or hookers to the right. It's not a coincidence.
Hey, Kate, did you see that post? Did you see that post, Kate, that Adamantium put on the... Oh, no, it was me. I put it on his... anyway, it doesn't matter. Earlier today, I do get my knickers in a twist. Earlier today, there was some article in the newspaper report that some old woman, 80-odd years old, was jailed for feeding the crows.
Yeah. I commented on it.
The old crone has been jailed for feeding the old crone. the horror of Babylon and all that. Oh dear. It's a bit sad, isn't it?
Did you see the other one before we go? He posted today. Check this one out. I love this one. It's so
about
fun.
Bob Crow.
Yeah. Here's the headline. General Secretary of the Rail, Maritime and Transport Union, Bob. There's the Christ consciousness and creation of Christ consciousness mirrored upside down and backwards. Crow has died at age, God, 52. Yeah, just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Guys, the world is your oyster, O-I-ster. That's the creation of I in the divine feminine. It is there for you to feel, to see, to experience, and you will finally start getting the whole, it's a magic kingdom. And once you get there, it's golden.
Yeah. Sorry, Kate, I thought you'd pause. And for all those listeners who are going to get all aerated and out their pram about us disrespecting this man's passing, not at all. That is not how we do things here. We totally get that, and we see that side of it. But what we're doing is trying to show the clues, the links, the allegories, the threads to the game, how we can break it down so that it works for us. And this gentleman's passing has given us another clue and another key. So thank you very much to his soul for that. And in the same way we use words like cunt and prostitute, they don't mean what you necessarily think they mean. I'm very proud to be a cunt and a prostitute, and I'll tell anybody that's what I am. And if you call me one, I'll say thank you very much, because I love you for it, because that means you know who I am too.
Yeah, you are an unconditional, loving intent that is yours into the law of truth for standing. That's a cunt prostitute. What did you think it mean?
We've been watching that Serenity Firefly thing, and in it there's a prostitute who in this society is a woman of great standing, a woman of importance, and all these prostitutes are treated with such reverence. They're like the sovereigns, and there's the clue, everyone. Please, it's everywhere. She's withstanding prostitution.
That's right. I am the spiritual whore of Babylon. Works for me. Better than being the trapped in the physical, altered intent whore of Babylon. That's your whores that you're riding on, the horse. Isn't it coincidence that whores and horse, spelled either way, can be pronounced just by softening, that is the pia mater, or hardening, that is the dura mater, to see the web, which is between the hard mother and the soft mother. Now the hard, now take the D and make it a T. You've got the heart mother and the Rhea. Take the P and make it the R. Rhea mother. R-H-E-A, wife of Zeus. Just a coincidence? R-H, positive, negative. That's all energy interplay. And E-A, of course, is yin-yang, consciousness. So there's the Rhea mater and the heart mater. And there's a web. And you'll see this, it's played out in the physical. That's parts of the brain. What do they call the web? The arachnoid? Which, of course, arachnoid is a spider. So it's a spider's web that separates those two things. I just found my way through the web. That's all. And it's in the magic. If you want your way through, just spend a day or two on my website and just do some reading and take the time to get deep and get dark. I cannot.
On your website? On the site of your web?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's come on, stop messing
you
about.
You want to get eyes on the arachnoid? Well, then go to the site of the web, the website, kateofgaia.wordpress.com. It's all there. It's all, in truth, as always, is free to all. So please, help yourself. That's the problem with competition and the ego. Well, if I don't pay for it, it can't be worth anything. You see? It's all in the mirror. The only things that are worth anything are the things you don't pay for, because they contain truth, not the lie of the physical. And on that note, I should roll here because I just have my little... Yeah, go ahead, Mark. You get the last word. Just
before you go, with the Coptic key, G to K, P to R, And what was the last one?
D to T.
Tar very much.
No problem. Just it's my initials, Katie Renee Thompson. So just remember that GPD or GDP, gross domestic product, indeed. If you look at GPD, pronounce it without the vowels. It says to me, "Oh, Gypt," as in Egyptian. Yeah, it's just a coincidence, Horace. Get your whore eyes on horizon. Yeah, I know. Play the magic. See the magic. It will blow your mind, I promise. And on that note, just a reminder that we're back on in I don't know what's going on with the time zone thing, but I started an hour later today and I started an hour later last night, so I guess some sort of daylight savings time is going on somewhere in the world that's caused this, because I have to schedule through UK midnight. So I can't change the schedule, because if I do, I change the whole day, and we lose a day of shows, and I have to lose another day to come back. So it's an hour later. So it's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard until 10, typically. If we go past that, depends on how I feel. And we'll see you at criticalmassradio.co.uk on Blog Talk Radio. If you have any issues finding any of the shows, just Google Kate of Gaia. Now you have no excuse. And on that, I will just say a great big thank you to all, and Mark, Ninja, Fabian, everybody, and we'll catch you in a few hours, and much love. Take care.
It's okay.
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
I'm giving it out to you now before it disappears.
Please do.
Earwax. Sealing wax.
Yeah, wakey.
Signets. It's like if your ears are not working, they're sealed.
Exactly.
It's the wax that's making you deaf. And the monarchs and the sovereigns always used sealing wax to imprint their seal on their documents. They didn't sign shit. We know not to sign shit now. There you go, another little flip around.
Yeah, and excuse me, using phonics, WA can be pronounced as way with a hard A, and you have X, which is a Greek letter key. So let's spell that out. Way key. Not Waco. You might remember that, and that was playing out the same. Yeah, wakey. So that's your ear. It's wax, earwax. And what do you have with ear? E-A, which is yin-yang, spirit breath. So earwax is the consciousness in the physical, spirit breath, wakey, wax. When you do this, I'll ask Ninja, when you do this enough times, you really start to see the magic unfold.
Oh, you only need to do it once to see that, but the rest of it is just pure entertainment. For yourself, that you're not hurting yourself by entertaining. You see, we understand that entertainment as served to us by the establishment is harmful. When we entertain ourselves by breaking that down, we're not hurting ourselves, we're freeing ourselves. And I wanted, oh, jeez, it's gone. I just had something and it's gone because we were just on it. And, way, name.
Yep.
So again. The key, the way key.
Isn't it fun?
So many ways this thing flips around itself, and you just, wow. Yeah.
And it all connects back to its source. It proves the word, the sound.
See, ears to hear. Yeah.
Eyes to hear and ears
eyes
to see.
Eyes to hear, ears to see, exactly. Again, everything, look at it in the equal and opposite. Look at it in the mirror. Literally, if you need to, get your makeup mirror, girls, and play with the mirror and the paper and the pen and just do it.
Yeah, you'll save yourself a whole lot.
You've got nothing else better to do, have you?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, you'll save yourself a whole lot of trouble in terms of trying to solve your ego, because ego loves to doubt. Ego loves to have conflict. And when you start seeing the magic, that whole program starts getting overridden. So there is really no effort required in taking care of any, victim mentalities or anger or fear or any of this stuff. When you start seeing the magic, then you start knowing the magic. And again, let's take the G out of magic. And interesting, who was it? Just one sec. I have to go back and check this. It's a beautiful comment. Where are we? Oops, wrong one. And the more people spend time just playing with words, where are my notes? I want to. Here's the Coptic key. Let me see, where did I put it? Yeah, this is quite fascinating because you can start seeing with your ears, and you listen better with your eyes. I'm just looking. Yeah, when you start flipping out the G with the K, and the P with the R, and the D with the T, you watch the difference you'll see, and it actually proves the words and the meanings and the mirror opposite. So for me, it was just one more layer of exposing the magic spell that's on us, and that's what it is. We are spellbound and under Phoenician law, where, well, I don't shun the phoenix anymore. So it's the phoenix I am, right? I'm trying to find this Coptic key. It's really neat. Well, I tell you what, here, I always recommend that people bring their crayons and sketch pads to the table so they can play show and tell with me. Now, take the letter K, write it with the upright bar of K on its back, so it looks like a V on a horizon. I might as well just do it again. I'm looking for it. Can't seem to find it. That's okay. It'll show up now because I said I can't. Right? Can't is a spell, right? So there's a lot of coincidences here that aren't coincidences. I've got one essay I will read, one I read last night. Oh, Ninja's on the board. Hey, Ninja. While I got you, I might as well have you jump in here.
Yeah. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Have we got a lag?
I don't hear one.
Okay, brilliant. Hello, everyone. I've got my pen and a great big fat notepad, and I've already started writing. So, yeah, definitely the way to go these days.
Yeah, and the Coptic key, once you draw it out, it's an 8-pointed star, is a two-dimensional overview or underview, depending on how you're looking at it, of the DNA spiral going up. It's quite magical. This is how you add rungs to your Jacob's ladder. Okay, so you have the K sitting on it, lying on its back. Then do the mirror of it underneath, right? So you got the V going up, do the V going down. Now you have a straight line with an X through it. Then you do a vertical line through that. So the letters you have in there are the K, and it actually is in all 4 quadrants. You'll notice that. You've got the X, which covers all 4 quadrants. Then you have the V as above, so below. And you have the Y as above, so below. And I think that was... Well,
You're listening to Kate of Gaia on Critical Mass Radio. The game is up. Now, it's our turn.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night to everyone around the planet. Welcome to Outside the Box here on criticalmassradio.co.uk. Yours truly, Kate of Gaia, at the helm. Where do we want to go today? Well, we've been peeling a lot of layers off. Let's see, what's our list include this week? Solved the Coptic key, the lost continents. Yeah, and you thought Atlantis and Lemuria were just about islands. What else? Oh, yeah, the riddle of Sphinx. The revealing of the energetic Egyptian sex rituals and how demons are created between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Well, of course, it's the other heaven, Uranus. Now, these are not coincidences, and you will find all of the keys and all of the clues. The Coptic key is in the sound, and that's what's being revealed. Basically minute by minute now, and so many people are catching on to the real Hollywood silver screen and seeing their own magic because it's being reflected back. And I got to tell you, it's wonderful to watch that. It's like watching children being born. It's freaking awesome. So that being said, the master hex is the letter G. You'll see it also in the treble clef, cursing all the music. Have a look at a treble clef, and you'll see the G, the inward egocentric spiral. And these shapes, you see, when you start looking at things from the eyes of a child, you don't see definitions, you don't see words, you don't see anything but shape, and that shape is created through sound. So it's speaking the language of light is what I'm talking about, which was for a very long time for me a bit of a mysterious thing. What is the language of light? And then it dawned on me, and this is exactly what we're doing. We're learning to hear with our eyes and see with our ears. See, if you are only seeing with your eyes that are facing forward, you are a predator. This is natural law. Any animal that has the eyes facing forward are typically predators. And any animal with its eyes on the side of its head, like a horse, is an herbivore, a peaceful, right? Not to say that they will not defend, but here's the thing about your eyes on the side of your head. You have 360-degree vision then, don't you? Or you can have your own ability to be preyed upon by only using your eyes to see with instead of hear with them. Now, while that might sound a little bit complicated, it's not. Those are the two opposing Y's. What was the other one? V. Well, there's your open to all creation, like vagina, right? You've got that center point at the bottom, and the arms, legs, whatever, spread wide, going into all creation. So that is why we deal with the Vesica Pisces, and that's a duality. And that's exactly what the Pisceans want to keep going. And it's over anyway, so have at her. Game's done. Have a look at creation like this. Draw a jellyfish, which is just like an upside down U or a frown, whatever you want to say. And just do that like you're doing a happy face with a frown without the eyes. At each side of that, go towards the center, make another jellyfish from each point. So one pointing left, one pointing right. And you're going to notice something very, very quickly. You've got a beautiful curved triangle. It was just a coincidence that I drove a rotary RX-7 for many years, which that is exactly what the rotor looks like. And there's two of those in a rotary engine, the 12A or 13B. Yeah, just a coincidence. Those are the model numbers of the engines. And all of this, the rotary also works with a quad. It's got 4 spark plugs, one leading and one trailing, to complete the full combustion. I can show the whole universe in a rotary engine because it's the same story everywhere. And once you start to see the commonalities of 2 or 3 of these different stories, then you start to see the commonalities and the common thread running through all of creation. And then that's when you really start to connect with consciousness as far as being part of the one, instead of separate from it. The ego wants to be separate from it. If you look at the ego as the lie and the spirit as the truth, there's your oil and water. So on that note, I think I'll pop into an essay, and it's available on cateofgaia.wordpress.com. Thank you, Ninja, for putting that up yesterday, in plenty of time for last night's show. And it's titled Oil and Water. You might wonder why there's an O instead of a W in front of it, but go ahead, say it. O water, O water. Or you can say odor if you're in spellbinding program. And that's exactly what the spellbinding does, is it puts you in a fixed state of looking at things. You got the blinders on. The blinders are your ears covered. If you can envision yourself as the true horse of Babylon, all you got to do is take the blinders off. All right? Blinders, take the D. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a little mini epiphany.
Got the eye right in the middle of all that, the single upright. So there you go. Coptic key is all about the sigils and the sounds contained within the sigils. It's like, where was it? K, for example. You have, that's for me the Greek word ka, K. Well, K-A-Y is, I always thought that was kind of interesting that you could actually spell out a letter, so it didn't make sense to use the letters to spell out a letter. Sort of, it's like trying to use a word that you're trying to define in the definition. It's like this: define the word mean, using the word mean in the definition. Mean, it means what you mean. That's nonsensical. So I decided to play around with this a little bit. So if a K can be spelled out as it sounds, K-A-Y, well, I can silence the Y and I have ka. Every vowel is interchangeable with every vowel because it works in every sound, in every language, every word, somewhere. You just got to find where it was, right? So now we have the K, that's Egyptian for spirit, ka. Then we have X, which is a Roman numeral 10, which is I and O. They look pretty much the same to me. Oh, you put a little tick on it, whatever. And you can change the intention from a 1 to an I. But the O and the 0 pretty much stays the same. You might see in your keyboard where the number 0 is more like oval versus the O on the keyboard for the letter. Okay, so you got Roman numeral 10. It's also the Greek symbol for chi, C-H-E, which is chi, go figure, it's life. X is also the lowercase t in Phoenician, which is the crucifixion. The uppercase T, the upper kase, the higher realm, has got a circle around that same X. And there's your quad that I've talked about, and it showed up again. It shows up everywhere. These are just clues. Are you paying attention to the clues? And that's really all I'm trying to get across to people. So we have the X now. What else we got in there? Well, we got the Y, which if you look at Zeus's lightning bolt, it's actually two opposing Ys with their stems attached at the bottom. It's not a jagged Z type thing. It's a Y. Think of well, you can do this on your computer. Hit the less than or the greater than sign, dash 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 dash, less than sign. That's the comma and the period keys for those that don't know that in math. Greater than, less than. Okay, so